Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So we have some XRP news today, Bitcoin news, Celo. We got some Celo news today. We got a lot of stuff to get through. We got some commodities news also. So let's begin here. So now this article is titled XRP news today, SEC versus Ripple case update. What is going on now? I didn't think there was much that was happening at this particular time. It says on Wednesday, they're going to address the FOMC and all that type of stuff as well. On Wednesday, the FOMC interest rate decision and press conference drove buyer demand for XRP and the broader crypto market. I'm glad they threw that in there. It says the Fed left interest rates within the 5.25 to 5.50% target range. And like just what we've been saying all along, they can't make a cut right now. They have to leave things higher for longer. We've been talking about that for a long time. Every time, what have I been saying? Every time they take their foot off the gas, inflation goes back up. They're having a problem with that sticky inflation, stagflation, which we talked about all last year. So there's not much that they can do. Here's another thing. If you didn't see that last video, it was either the last video or the one before it. There was a chapter where we covered an article from an expert who said it's more likely to see an interest rate hike, or just as likely to see an interest rate hike as it is to see a cut at this point, because of everything that's going on. And I agree with that. I think it's definitely possible. So look, like I said, when you're dealing with stagflation, you're going to have to make some desperate decisions, but we'll see. It says, nevertheless, the Fed chair highlighted the lack of progress on bringing inflation to the 2% target. Investors responded positively to the unlikelihood of a Fed rate hike. Yeah, you're also dealing with a strong dollar also. I saw earlier today, the dollar went from 105, then it came down to 104. But even when it's red, right? Because you can't just look at the chart. You say, I see red, it's going down, it's getting weaker. Listen, that dollar needs to come down much, much more, in my opinion. Much, much more. At 105, 104, the dollar's still looking pretty strong. But it did come down from 105 to 104. I don't know what it's doing right now, but still. I was very joyous to see the dollar weakening. Sorry, dollar. Anyway, so now this next section here, SEC versus Ripple. SEC reply brief due date is looming. Investors await an SEC response to the Ripple opposition brief. The SEC must file its reply brief by May the 6th. And will likely continue to pursue punitive disgorgement and an injunction. Yeah, well, we have a chapter coming up where finally, some of those people in the House are starting to see the SEC's corruption. We'll get to that in another chapter coming up soon. It says the reply brief filing could be the last court submission before Judge Annalisa Torres decides on the penalty for selling unregistered XRP to institutional investors. The SEC filed its opening brief on March the 22nd, arguing for almost $2 billion penalty. That we know, so let's move on to the next article here. All right, so now let's move on. Let's see. What do we have here? So this article is titled, Ripple's 800 million XRP escrow lockup failed. And I love how it's something positive happening, but they tag on something negative. Failed to reboot price. Well, listen, first of all, a lot of things are going up today. Took a little time, like 2 or 3 days, but a lot of things are going up to the point where I'm seeing articles now. Not that I agree with this. I'm just saying I see articles where people are excited and they're saying, hey, this might be altcoin season starting off. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm just showing that people are excited. So things are going up a little bit. I saw XRP. I believe it hit 52 cents. I think I saw 52 cents, something like that. So you listen, them relocking up 800 million, in my opinion, would not do anything for the price too significantly. Not when there's massive selling going on, massive volatility going on. You have U.S. Treasury things going on where some of those percentages may have gone up. Interest percentages may have gone up. You have a strong dollar. You had the whole FOMC thing going on. There's so many catalysts, pressureful filled catalysts out there right now. So no, I wouldn't think that this would do anything like that. But, listen, now that you're starting to see Bitcoin come up a little bit, show signs of life again. Now that gets a bigger crowd with big pockets, active again, and that could definitely make things go up. I think that's a lot of what's happening. People are starting to see that this is a quick little dip, quick little correction. These things are going to happen. Bitcoin remains super bullish, which means that all of crypto remains super bullish. When it goes up, everything else goes up. Now that's a catalyst for you for the short term, not this. But anyway, let's read this little article. This is my humble opinion. You could disagree. I'm not here to convince you of anything. Just talking. I'm just sharing, right? Blockchain payments firm Ripple Labs Incorporated has moved. I don't know why I read it like that. Has moved a total of 800 million XRP into escrow wallet as it seeks to rebalance the circulating supply of the digital currency. In reaction to the escrow activity, the XRP price has inked a mild uptick too of 4.61% in 24 hours to 51 cents. Like I said, I thought I saw it hit 52. Maybe it did. I believe I saw that. However, this massive XRP lockup has yet to correct all the losses of the past week. It's not meant to do that. So why are you drawing a correlation there? I don't understand that. XRP recorded an intense valuation shrink in the past month as market sentiment waned. Despite the latest uptick, XRP is still down 2% over the past week and by more than 14% in the past month. Like I said, there's been a lot of volatility and a lot of things have come down. Even Solana has come down a little bit, still looking great, but it's come down a little bit. It's nowhere near that $15. It's looking good, but even it came down. Quant came down. A lot of things came down. Bitcoin was down. Everything was down. It's okay. It's going to be okay. It's all right. Man, I don't know. When I say that, it's all right. That Jay-Z song pops in my head. Some of you old school people might remember that you could bounce if you want to bounce, ball if you want to ball, play if you want to play. It's all right. You heard me? It's all right. What was that album? Was that Hard Knock Life Volume 2? Was that Volume 2? Listen, a lot of people complained about the instrumentals back then on Volume 2 and I think also on Volume 3. I liked all those instrumentals. I liked that. I thought that was okay. And I've never been a big Jay-Z listener. But I will say he has some good songs. That was around the era he was starting to work with Swiss Beats. Rough Riders was, getting hot. You had so DMX was getting all the hot beats back then. And everybody was starting to say, hey, we need some of those Swiss Beats also. Swiss Beats was on fire, Dame Grease and all those people. And Jay-Z was real close with their camp. And they started giving some instrumentals to him. And I think he did pretty good. I don't know if that was one of them. I'm just saying those albums were pretty good. And then the one song that came out, Do It Again with Beanie Siegel. Oh, man. If you weren't alive back then, you couldn't imagine how hard that song hit. See, back then, what people got to understand today that weren't around back then, a lot of different genres, they would just drop these bombs of songs. You couldn't deny they were good. You couldn't escape them. They would take the people by storm. And I'm talking about multiple artists. Those older generations, whether people don't want to give them credit, the older generations had so many stars. I'm talking, you had Jay-Z, DMX, and then you look at pop, you had like Spice Girls and pop, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. You look at rock, you had like Limp Bizkit, Blink 182. I'm just giving some names. I mean, we could keep going and going and going. And they had longevity. How long was Madonna around? Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. I mean, there were so many stars. It was unbelievable. And when I say that, I just mean they made enjoyable products. They made enjoyable music. You could just turn on the radio and just, hit after hit after hit after hit. Now I turn on the radio, when I do, and which is not very often, instead of hit after hit after hit, I turn on the radio now and I say, that's it. That's it. Then I say, I quit, and I turn that thing right back off. I'm just saying, people, I'm just sharing a little bit. So anyway, let's move. I hope you're all doing fantastic out there. I got a lot of news for you today. No warnings from the banks today. No dire news, man. I'm not saying it didn't happen today. I'm just saying that wasn't what the articles that were popping up for me were showing. I don't know about tomorrow. All right. So anyway, folks, man, I like hanging out with you. I just do. You mind when I hang out with you? You mind? All right. I'm just saying, Alpha Neem, I like to hang out, and you guys are fun. Hey, you don't want me to hang out with you. Don't be fun anymore. Right. So anyway, it's turned into a podcast. This article here, a little Bitcoin news. Let's get into that Bitcoin news. The OG Bitcoin. We wanted to win. We wanted to go up because I want to make more money off of Bitcoin, which we were doing good before. I want some more of that money. I'm just telling the truth. So this article is titled "Bitcoin Correction is Temporary." Listen, the more I listen to Raoul Pal, however you pronounce Sir's name. All right, sir, show him your respect. I like more and more of this guy, the more I hear. I agree. Listen, I agree. It's temporary. This always happens. This is nothing new. This was nothing at all. It says this co-founder and chief executive officer of Real Vision, Raoul Pal, has shed light on the current market state and the future outlook of Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency. Despite the cryptocurrency witnessing declines of more than 15%, this is nothing for us. If you've been in crypto, this is a walk in the park. Walk in the park. And on top of that, listen, you could disagree. We all have different ideas. This is just mine. It opened up some insane opportunities. Oh, it did. And I'll say I capitalized. Oh, I capitalized. Just telling you the truth. I'm just saying. I only speak for me. This is the financial expert has uncovered. I'm talking about capitalized to the point where you know how you have so much of something. I'll just say something. It goes up just a few pennies, and you're already seeing good gains. That's capitalizing. Oh, yeah. You got to strike when the iron is hot. I'm just saying you have to. Anyway, the financial expert has uncovered a significant pattern that indicates a potential bull flag following Bitcoin's price correction. In an X post published on Tuesday, April 28th, Powell shared a yearly chart depicting Bitcoin's price movements from October 2023 to April 2024. At the time of writing, Bitcoin's price is trading below the 60,000 mark. I think I saw it at 59,000, somewhere around there. Oh, and then it says here at 59,185, marking monthly declines of 15%. I'll just round it off, and weekly lows of 11%. Yeah, and you've seen multiple times how Bitcoin can get back in the game, pump back up, pop back up very, very easily. So, I mean, there's a reverse side to every shield, right? Sword cuts both ways. The crypto analyst has suggested that Bitcoin's recent price correction was a temporary setback. Don't let me forget to slide in my one of my favorite sayings: the pendulum swings equally to the left as it does to the right. So it went to the left. The left is typically thought of, I'm talking about traditionally, right? Not modern thought, but so the left is typically thought to be negative, not in a bad way. I'm talking about outright negative, like scientifically speaking, negative. And then the right is the positive, the benefit, right? The negation and then the benefit, the positive. So get ready for that right swing. The rubber band has been pulled back. Let's see what happens. It says what he calls the banana zone will kick in, unquote. He also described Bitcoin's recent price declines as a, quote, pause that refreshes, unquote. Yes, I agree with that. I believe a lot of new players are getting into the game, getting into position. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. There's no reason that they would have come out in all those articles talking about how they want to get in, but they sat out on the side, one. Then on top of that, you have the Hong Kong ETF. After all the ETFs, there's always disappointment, and then there is a correction or dip. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is what happened. I mean, listen, unless I'm remembering wrong, and you can correct me, but unless I'm remembering wrong, that's what happened with the US Bitcoin ETFs as well. But and so there's some lag, and then the price goes up. It takes some ETFs take time, traditionally speaking, to kick in. But what that means is you have those over in Hong Kong and associated with them also getting into position. Doesn't mean they're positioned, but getting into position or preparing to make moves strategically. So then you're going to have that capital as well. So things are continue to get bigger and bigger, not just for Bitcoin, but for crypto overall, because Bitcoin is really a doorway, a doorway to the rest of crypto, which they're predicting is going to be growing extravagantly, if I can use that word expediently, is going to be growing greatly over the next few years. We're still in the nascent phase. We haven't even begun to see crypto's maturity, right? All right, so now, says the financial expert noted that once the bonanza zone commences, it may pick up momentum towards the end of the year and continue well into 2025. I also think that's possible, potentially reaching peak mania. He also shared a historical pictorial analysis illustrating his Bitcoin predictions. All right, so then he says in the chart, which they didn't show the chart. That's interesting. The price of Bitcoin witnessed a bonanza zone rally. Oh, bonanza. Why did I say? But it says banana zone. Banana zone rally from 1,000 to 5,000 between 2014 and 2016, and from 10,000 to 60,000 between 2019 and 2020. Basing his predictions on this unique historical pattern, Powell suggested that Bitcoin's price action from 2022 to 2024, starting at $50,000, could potentially, not a guarantee, but I will love it if it goes here, potentially skyrocket to a new all-time high of $300,000. I almost had to laugh because, man, if it goes there, life is going to be beautiful. I'm just saying it is. Like, if it go to 300,000, wait. So okay, so let's put to the side that people who got in low on Bitcoin, as low as you could, of course, because some people got in at the beginning of Bitcoin's existence. That's the ultimate low. But I'm talking about those of the last like 4 years who got in where they could. You got in where you could get in. Riding that all the way up to $300,000, obviously you would make a great profit, pretty good profit, depending on how much you have. Obviously, nobody knows how much anyone has, right? But the rest of crypto, a lot of that capital will come out of Bitcoin. We've already seen it happen plenty of times. Every time Bitcoin goes up, everything else goes up as well. Some of that liquidity will come out of Bitcoin, and they will want to double, triple their profits in some of these altcoins. That means altcoins will also rise. That's going to be insane gains if that were to happen. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. All right. But it says here, $300,000. Powell has predicted that after crypto spring, a new season for cryptocurrencies will occur, termed the quote crypto summer unquote. The financial expert has confirmed that this period will be the start of the altcoin season. Oh, so so he's also calling for altcoin season. I've seen a lot of people saying altcoin season starting now. We'll see if that's actually true or not. It says highlighting that that it is typically marked by an intense bubble in the crypto fall. Keep in mind also, we covered an article. I don't know how many people saw that chapter. It was in the last maybe 2 or 3 videos where they're saying that some of the what do they call that? There's capital that they're expecting to come in, massive amount of capital. I can't think of the phrase where the older generations are sitting on all that capital, and then they're going to be liquidating that or handing that down to new generations, which obviously a lot of new generations are going to liquidate that. That they're starting to say some of that is on the move. I forgot the phrase for it. My apologies, folks. But they're starting to say some of that is beginning to move. Whether that's true or not, we'll have to wait and see. But if it is on the move and it doesn't end up in the stock market, you know what's going on in the stock market right now, then some of that could end up in crypto. Who knows? I'm just putting it out there as a possibility. We'll see how it all plays out. So now let's move on here, because finally the House, I guess someone from the House, is starting to recognize the corruption from the SEC's mind games. Folks, this article is titled this, right? Because I want you to go to this article. Look at this picture of Gary Gensler, right? Wait, but the article is titled House's McHenry. I don't know who that is. We're going to find out. House's McHenry accuses SEC Chief Gensler of misleading Congress on Ethereum. That's it? So they're not misleading you on everything, right? That's why you should educate yourself and don't go by the words of another. Because if that one has more wisdom than you and they choose to use that wisdom for, let's say, evil, for lack of a better word, manipulation, then you are at their mercy, right? You should be well educated on these subjects so you can't be misled. Anyway, just my humble opinion. It says this: the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee says Gensler refused to discuss his view on ETH in testimony even after the SEC was investigating it as a security. Clear misleading, clear manipulation. But look at this picture. Look at this guy's eyeballs, right? I'm just saying this. I watched a lot of horror movies growing up. My apologies. He looks demonically possessed. I don't care. I'm going to use that word. I don't care. Something's wrong here. Look, no, go. I'm telling you, go look at this picture. No normal person looks like this. What is he on? He's on something. Somebody slid him some of those pills, something. I don't know. He's on something. Oh man, he looks, Mr. Gensler, what are you doing? You look crazy right now. I don't know. That stress getting to him. He had to get a little something from the plug. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. My apology. I have to have a little bit of a laugh from time to time. I make myself laugh. You know what I mean? I don't know if people laugh with me. I don't. You're not laughing. You're not laughing with me. Oh man. So anyway, so now let's read this little tidbit. U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Gary Gensler has been accused of misleading Congress by Representative Patrick McHenry, the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, who said Gensler's agency already knew it considered Ethereum's Ether a security before he attended a hearing and declined to answer that question. Quote, yeah, because they know that, listen, there are people who can stop them, put a stop to what they do. Not that I think that they're going to actually utilize that power. No, I don't. But they could if they wanted to. So what they're going to think, Gensler and his SEC cronies, is why even give you the chance to stop us? I could just sit here and say nothing, not answer your questions. Let you do the work. You want to catch me? Catch me. That's a lot of people's attitudes. I think that's his attitude. As you see, it worked. By the time you're releasing this, they're already ready to, take ETH to task. It says, quote, Chair Gensler refused to answer questions regarding the SEC classification of Ether, unquote. McHenry said in a statement post on X. Why do they do this? Everything's on Twitter. Everything is on X. And it's like, I've seen this too many times where people in mass start to silo themselves into one media platform. Why not release this to all of the media? Let the mainstream media cover it. Let the regular media like YouTubers and TikTokers, let them cover it. Let everybody have it. Because what happens when people don't want to go to X or Twitter one day, sort of like the whole Facebook thing, where this is what I'm reading, that a lot of people don't want to use Facebook. They're leaving Facebook. But for years, there's no other platforms to rival Facebook because everyone's been siloed into that system. Yeah, but you need to have things diversified, right? Diversification is power, in my humble opinion. You have some soldiers over there. You have some soldiers over there. You have some soldiers here. You don't have all your soldiers here. Then the enemy could be anywhere. Your message doesn't reach. Your power doesn't have any reach. You get what I'm saying? Stretch your pieces out a little bit, but everybody's pieces are all on Twitter. I'm just my humble thoughts. It says here, quote, new court filings show this was an intentional attempt to misrepresent the commission's position, unquote. The classification of ETH, the second largest cryptocurrency by market cap, is a major question hanging over the U.S. oversight of digital assets, and is being fought on multiple legal fronts. If ETH is a security that should be registered and regulated by the SEC, then many other tokens may also fit that definition. So documents in Consensus newly filed lawsuit against the SEC describe how the agency was pursuing an investigation into the nature of ETH days before Gensler testified in April 2023. Consensus is suing the agency ahead of an expected SEC enforcement action. All right, so now let's move on from there. So, I forgot we had some Chainlink news. But once again, I know you don't have to agree with me, but I'm just super bullish on Chainlink. Everything I hear that they're doing is next level. They don't just talk it. There's a lot of companies that just talk. They don't just talk it. They actually are taking actions. They're doing things. They're building. They're working with huge companies. This article is titled Chainlink and Rapid Addition Collaborate to Develop Adapter for Institutional Digital Asset Trading. And another thing I like about Chainlink, I don't know if I'm perceiving this correctly. They work quickly. They get things done very quickly and in a timely manner. Blockchain Oracle project Chainlink and FIX connectivity solutions provider Rapid Addition are teaming up to create a FIX native adapter specifically designed for institutional digital asset trading. This collaboration aims to enable banks and financial institutions to communicate and interact with a wide range of tokenized asset. I said this years ago. I said that any utility coin that wants to have longevity and have great success will have to become a bank coin. Didn't I say, remember I said that? I used to say that a lot. And Chainlink did it. Solana's trying to do it. They're both being very successful in my humble opinion, but Chainlink is definitely out there at the forefront, in my humble opinion. As far as utility coins that have become bank coins, they didn't start out as just raw bank coins. It says, by leveraging this technology, banks and financial institutions will have the ability to send messages and engage with various tokenized assets in what Chainlink sees as an untapped market opportunity. Chainlink envisions that FIX native adapter will have significant use cases in renewable energy products, carbon credits, and real-world assets such as real estate, infrastructure, and collectibles. Vince Turcotte, the business development lead for Asia Pacific at Chainlink Labs, said, quote, combining Chainlink CCIP with Rapid Addition's FIX platform lowers the technical barriers of entry for new trading venues, buy-side participants, and brokers of digital assets. I'll say this. The companies that provide connectivity, like they're trying to connect everything, I think they're going to be some of the most successful in the long term. It's going to take some time because what they're doing is on an epic scale. But I mean, they're dealing with trillions, possibly scaling into quadrillions worth of value. I don't see how they lose. And the big three right now, and just from my knowledge, you may know other things, right? I don't proclaim to know everything, but my big three right now, I think when it comes to connectivity, I have to put Quant at number one. I have to. Quant is number one. They're working with the biggest of the big companies. They have a great relationship with the Bank for International Settlements, the Bank of England, LAC chain, SIA chain, Nexi. You could keep going and going. And so many banks are underneath Nexi and SIA chain. Check that out. And that's just a little bit of what Quant does, right? They have Overledger for XRP, for I think for XDC also, and some other, and I think for also Ethereum, right? Overledger. I mean, I think Quant is at the top. That's number one. Then I'll say Chainlink, I will put number two when it comes to the connecting everything utility coins. Chainlink is definitely number two. They have Swift. They have this going on. They have a lot of different things going on. And then number three, I would put Flare at number three. When you talk about connecting everything, they have a relationship with Google Cloud. They're building some very interesting things with F assets. Imagine when you have smart contract capabilities with Bitcoin, XRP, and other things on Flare, right? You have all that clogging up their network. What does that do to the price? What does it do to Songbird token that's on Flare, right? That's their live like testing ground where you have real money and you have the ability to, I think, delegate also with Songbird. And they have a limited token supply of like 16 billion. So my thought would be that there's always going to be a DApp in development. So that will always have to be utilized. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's always going to be an upgrade, an update. So it would be wise, I think, for companies to keep something. You have your main offering on Flare, everything perfected, but anything you want to develop, you have a piece of that still remaining on Songbird that's always in development. You can always test. You always want to upgrade. So they're always going to have to be on Songbird. But anyway, that whole Flare system of Flare, Songbird, there's so much that they could connect. So much. They're trying to tap into real world data, both for Web 2 and bring that to Web 3. There's a lot of opportunity. And that whole interoperability aspect is going to be needed in the world. So there's enough money to get out there for all of the big three to go around for all of the big three. But that's my big three right there. Quant, Chainlink, and Flare, the Flare Songbird dynamic. So, no, we'll see how that goes, but I think as far as real world asset, tokenization, interoperability, moving information, like they said, sending messages is not just about value, moving messages between various regions with all this geopolitical tension. I think there's a lot there and it's being overlooked. I do. But I don't know if that was eloquent or not. My apologies, folks, if it wasn't. So now let's move on here. What else do we have? We have a Cardano article. We have another Bitcoin article. You know what? Let's skip the Cardano article. It was a price prediction. We can skip that for now. Let's go here. To the other Bitcoin article, this article is titled, U.S. lawmakers urge SEC to approve Bitcoin options trading. Representatives Mike Flood and Wiley Nickel urged the SEC's chair, Gary Gensler, to stop discriminating against Bitcoin funds in a letter. I don't understand that. You can tell that Gensler and his SEC just has a problem with crypto. I mean, we've all known that, but now the regular people are starting to see that. Because how can you say Bitcoin is in the clear? It's a commodity, but yet you give all these problems to Bitcoin. United States lawmakers are reportedly pressing the Securities and Exchange Commission to approve options trading on Bitcoin exchange traded products. According to a report by Axios, Representatives Mike Flood and Wiley Nickel recently wrote a letter to the commission's chair, Gary Gensler, urging the SEC to stop discriminating against crypto funds. Quote, we urge you without delay to approve options on spot Bitcoin ETPs or to provide an explanation for the commission's difference in treatment between options for Bitcoin futures ETFs, which are currently trading, and options for the spot Bitcoin ETPs, unquote, reads the bipartisan letter. Options are financial instruments that give the buyer the right, but not the obligation to buy or sell an asset, in this case, Bitcoin at a fixed price by a certain date. The instrument is commonly used for hedging against price movements, limiting potential losses. Let that marinate for a minute. Now, when you think about it, now you can see why they don't want this. Limiting potential losses and enabling investors to generate additional income through strategies. The approval, according to Flood and Nickel, is crucial for investors that the SEC, quote, seeks to protect, unquote. I'm glad they put that there. Yes, because it seems like this current iteration of the SEC is all about making people lose things, lose capital, lose value. You see what they did with XRP. They are the cause of a lot of people XRP not soaring. Just my humble opinion. You can disagree. They are the cause of XRP not soaring in price. They're the reason. And they don't care. And they cause a lot of other assets also to lose capital. We'll see also what happens with Ethereum once they fully attack Ethereum, which seems like it's coming. So that's how I feel about that. So now, let me not forget the Celo news. We're going to have to skip like 2 or 3 articles here. So we don't make the video too long. But let's get to the Celo news because we haven't heard from Celo in a little while, or heard some news about Celo. Every bull run, I'm telling you, when the bull run really, really kicks off, I'm always super bullish on Celo. I've witnessed Celo explode that last bull run in 2021 like 3 or 4 times. I mean, there were really good gains, extremely good gains. So when you get me good gains like that, yeah, I'm bullish on you, right? Anyway, this article was titled, or some people pronounce it Celo. Let me say that. I say Celo. Some people say Celo. I don't care what it's called. Just make me some money. That's how I look at it. Make me some money. Tokenized private credit platform Untangled opens its first USDC lending pool on Celo. Private credit has been at the forefront of crypto's asset tokenization trend with over $600 million outstanding in on-chain assets. The private credit pool, capped at $6 million USDC at the start, was structured under Luxembourg securitization regulation and is open for accredited investors. The new pool, in partnership with the fintech lender Carmen, is part of a potential 100 million euro or $107 million senior facility agreement with Carmen that hasn't been finalized yet, the platform said. Untangled Finance, a tokenized real-world asset platform backed by Fasanara Capital, opened its private credit pool on Celo network on Thursday with French fintech leader Carmen. The pool, structured under Luxembourg securitization regulations with a debt ceiling of $6 million at the start, lets accredited investors deposit the USDC stablecoin and will provide capital to Carmen, which specializes in providing instantaneous loans and working capital to small and medium-sized digital enterprises in France, according to a press release. Institutional asset manager Fasanara Capital and the Credit Collective, a Celo community-led ecosystem development organization, were early investors in the facility. The new pool is a part of a potential broader senior facility agreement worth 100 million euros or $107 million with Carmen, which has not yet been finalized, Untangled said. All right, so now we're going to end off with a little bit of commodities news since the cat is out of the bag. It's been a little bit of a while, right? So a while ago, I was dropping hints. A lot of people understood what I was talking about. A lot of people capitalized, right? This is what people say. It's what they say. Not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, but the cat is out of the bag, and copper, sweet, sweet copper. Copper, I never knew that you could make such gains. Oh, yeah. Anyway, copper was doing pretty good. It said, this article is titled, "Is Copper Heading to $15,000? Could copper hit 15K in the near future?" The Reuters report also quoted a portfolio manager at Valiant Asset Management as saying that copper scarcity would be the real test in the coming days. Specifically, they highlighted the question of whether the price of copper would remain around $10,000 or go even higher. Jay Tatum said that copper was finally moving on from being an investment story with a load of promises to one where the promises are starting to pay off. Well, excuse me, a little air in my chest. Another report in the Globe and Mail said that the demand for copper could reach as much as 33 MMT in the long run. In such a case, production will not be able to keep up with supply. It takes about a decade for a new copper mine to go from prospecting to production. This could result in a yearly deficit of about 6 MMT by 2030. Wow. The same report suggested that the price of copper could reach US $15,000 a metric ton in coming years. That said, the price could be under further pressure if predicted interest rate cuts were to weaken the demand for the US dollar and bolster demand for commodities priced in US dollars. Now, keep in mind, I give you an example here. Canadian mine closure sparks supply concerns. But what happens when something becomes more rare? Right. According to this Reuters report, copper prices accelerated higher after the closure of Canadian miner First Quantum Minerals Cobre Panama copper mine last year, as this raised the prospect of shortages of copper concentrate. Remember, we talked about that. We covered a few articles about that. That's when we used to cover commodities very heavily. Then there are the tighter supply demand dynamics in China, where an uptick in manufacturing activity over the last few months continues to fuel optimism for copper. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.